Hi, friends. Look who's in the darkness again. Well, now we're in the darkness together, so that's cool. I just wanted to say goodnight. And, I earlier, like, I don't know, a couple hours ago, I did upload another quick video of a poem I wrote recently. But it came out stupid, and I was distracted, and I was, like, rustling the papers too much and looking down and, like, not polished at all, not even remotely professional. Not that you guys require professionalness, but I like to give some time and a little bit of clarity and cohesiveness if I'm reading an original poem. So I'll probably do that tomorrow if I even wind up going into work. I don't know if I'm going to call out or not. I always get such shit when that happens. And, the reason the managers get so mad, obviously, about call outs is that so many people lie about it. And it's such an abused policy. But I really am sick. I'm losing my voice, and my cough is starting to really hurt, and my head hurts. And I just took some more Mucinex. So I'm gonna go right to sleep. I took some Tylenol too for like the headache. Drank a whole bunch of tea with honey at work and like 3 glasses of water. Took a bunch of C's. Took some Zicam. Took some zinc. I'm always trying to pop a lot of supplements along with my crappy diet. It's funny how whenever I'm sick, like nothing takes my appetite away. I eat like I've eaten during stomach flus, really bad colds. I don't know, it's nervousness. When I'm tired and run down and working a lot, I can literally like physically feel my bipolar mood swings just like taking over my mind and just making it careen around like a broken pinball machine with the ball hitting all these crazy flippers of different moods and despair and anger and pettiness and apathy and numbness and second guessing and guilt. And oh my god, it gets so hectic, so noisy in my head sometimes. um so yeah, that was my day. But posting like I did and reading you guys' comments and checking out your channels and stuff made me feel really connected to this YouTube community of us, like what I call close friends. The amount of subscribers really means nothing if there's no interaction. And there's like 6 or 7 of you who regularly take the time to interact with me. And I realize sometimes I might seem too grasping or needy or desperate or maybe even pathetic. Another word Amberlyn Reed has sort of ruined for me. Always calling herself pathetic and then just keep continuing doing it. How about that? But, I don't like when something like a hobby like YouTube turns into a need for validation or a competition or like, comparing my channel or my personality to everybody else that I look at. We're all completely different. And I think that there's room for really professional looking channels that really are like almost like you're watching a series or like a show. And then there's ones that do just hold up a phone and walk around talking and don't care about where they're filming from or how they look or sound or makeup or lighting or anything. And I find them just as valuable, just as entertaining, just as informative, and just as real. From the first moment I decided to do this, my goal was to be authentic and real and almost revel in being an amateur. Um, Literally just talking to the camera and trying to find other like minded people who have similar struggles with mental illness or crazy, disordered, dysfunctional backgrounds. That's probably 99% of us, right? Um, Trauma and food issues and recovery stuff and just like the slings and arrows of daily life. I mean, my job was not hard today. I shouldn't sit here and complain. I was watching 2 women, one of whom was sick, one who can get a little bit annoying because of her OCD, but normally it doesn't annoy me at all, but it was just because I was run down. And the coworker that came in a couple of times to check in on things, who does the meds, like we had some really great talks. And it's always really funny to me which types of personality types and others we can just instantly click with. And I tend to be kind of an oversharer anyway. Like, oh, you like me? You're going to sit on a couch and talk to me? Well, okay. Don't say how are you, because I damn sure will tell you how I am, and I'll tell you everything about my life in the span of a half an hour. Excuse me, that's attractive, isn't it? Um, but yeah, she's a woman my age, maybe a little bit older, and one of the things that checks me about my own ego and being kind of up my own ass all the time, and it's addictive. It's because of having an addicted mind. Believe me, I've been in many rehabs, and I have done my reading and my research and um, addictive thinking and the brain, and none of that goes away. Even though you put down the substance, you don't have the substance to add as fuel to the fire, but you're still dealing with your monkey mind that um, thinks the way it thinks, which leads you to drink or pop pills or do whatever it is you do. Um, where was I going with that? Yeah, so she came in, and some people just breeze in and out. They don't even look at you. They don't talk to you. They whatever, and that's fine. That's when I'm just washing some dishes or looking at TV or looking at my phone or whatever. Um, but we were talking, and I mean, I wound up actually telling her about like the documentary, and I think she was asking about like how Mother's Day went, or she was asking about my mom, my family, because I found out she's got a bunch of kids, and a lot of them still live with her, and she buried three sisters within like 2 years, and she has another sister in California whom she said has nothing to do with the family at all and has nothing to do with her. And then as we were sharing back and forth, and this is why to me empathy and sharing is just so, so important. It's been said that the opposite of addiction is not sobriety, it's connection. And I'm an introvert. I'm kind of an insecure person. I tend to isolate and hibernate. I mean, I'm very talkative on here, as you can clearly see, but I don't have people over to my house, and I'm not really a gregarious or sociable person. I write a lot of poetry. I kind of just get it all out that way in this channel and posting a lot on Facebook, which I do so prolifically at times that people are like, "Are you manic right now? You're posting like constantly." Um, and I'd always rather like write an email than pick up the phone. I'm just really bad about talking on the phone. But anyway, in our sharing back and forth and relating and identifying and stuff, because believe me, when you're a woman in your 50s, there's things that just unite us. Let's put it that way. And I'm not just talking about menopause. It's like a thing that happens, and for men too, when you're in like the autumn of your years, and certain things become very clear and other things become petty bullshit, and you learn to let things go, and you learn what's important, and that's why it's all the more heartbreaking when families blow apart and you realize that they're getting older, you're getting older, nobody's health is guaranteed, and you start feeling more fragile. You start feeling very close to your mortality, which is why I always feel so depressed at times about like I'm running around in circles chasing my tail in life, and I'm not getting out of debt. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not in a profession that's suited to my talents. I mean I am, but I don't call it a profession. It's crap pay and it's bottom rung level healthcare, but what I do is important for people that are vulnerable, and so I take a certain amount of pride in the character and integrity that can hone in me, get me out of my selfish head a little bit. But she wound up saying that she has another sister in California who transitioned into being a woman from a man. It's her sister, but she used to be a man. Um, and I just, after the conversation, I was like, wow, it really is so cool that if you leave yourself open and allow yourself to be vulnerable, and you can help another and they can help you, and there's so much strength in that kind of sharing. And she actually like asked for my number, and she texted me during the day like, it was so great chatting with you, and she sent like a purple heart. And I thought that was really cool because I work with a lot of people in a lot of different homes, and I've worked for like 5 different care agencies, and I've met a lot of people, and there's very, very few that I would consider friends or that I could really talk to. Super grateful for Ruth. We text constantly. But but besides her and this other one woman today, and maybe a couple others, there's like nobody I really trust. There's nobody I really want to be friends with on Facebook or have them know things about me, or certainly not this channel. I already kind of regret giving out this channel info to somebody at work, but what's done is done. It is what it is. I'm not about to change who I am because of fear anymore. But I was having some, not second thoughts, but like strange, confused, almost like a guilt sense when I was once again today thinking about the upcoming documentary series. And like last night I was excited about it and felt vindicated and strong, and then today I was on that seesaw going up and down, and I don't know what I was reading or what was happening that led me to start thinking about that time period when I left and how confused it all was in my mind. Like when you have trauma, especially as a child, like you can really block things out. It doesn't mean you're making up a memory or you're lying, but it means memories can become very distorted and scattered, and they don't follow like the correct timeline. Because when you have trauma in your life, you can really lose huge blocks of time. And it's like, obviously I know when I left the cult. I remember everything about 1992/93. But what confuses the issue is that my marriage was already crumbling before I decided to leave. The catalyst of the knowing I couldn't go to those Bible studies anymore was when I realized my niece was being molested. By somebody in the cult who was living under our roof at the time upstairs. And because things weren't done about it in a way that I thought they should have been done, that was my final straw. But I was also leaving the house and finding the apartment because I also wanted to leave my marriage. And a lot of people think that, well, if both people are in a family or a relationship and you're leaving a cult, why wouldn't you just leave together and stay together? And that was kind of what I touched upon last night with you guys, like the double whammy of leaving a marriage, which was more or less arranged in the cult, and then leaving everything I knew from the time I was 5 behind, and literally having to divorce myself from my mother and my brother. And I think that's when almost like years worth of like mental breakdown or like nervous breakdown, everything in me had to just kind of shut down, and I had to put blinders on and get tunnel vision just to live and survive. And every bit of my energy was just towards being a good mom, which is why sometimes it kind of breaks my heart when she and I really have our squabbles and skirmishes, and there's like some bad vibes between us, which I know is normal with all parent-child relationships. I mean, it's one of the most important, vital, and complex relationships you can have. Excuse me. But because I didn't have a template of normalcy for what a mother was or what a mother looked like, I had to rely completely on instinct, which was strong enough to get me to protect her. But I didn't really know anything about the active act of mothering in like a really healthy way, because I wasn't coming from any kind of place of self-esteem or even having an identity. Because in the cult, we weren't allowed to use our names. We weren't allowed to say the words I or me. We had to refer to ourselves as this vessel. We had to ask permission to speak. We had to use our quality names that he gave us, the cult leader. We had to bow and curtsy. There were so many rules and rituals and bizarre culty things. And because this is all coming to light now, my flashbacks are getting worse and worse. So I'm really, really happy that I'm in therapy now and that Michael deals with this. I would say like for 80% of my treatment is dealing with these memories. And he's the first therapist I've ever had who's actually said PTSD. I thought that was so cool that like I didn't go to him wanting like a diagnosis necessarily. I'm, like, would I like to go on disability? Yes, probably. Am I qualified for it? Yes, probably. But my main goal wasn't to just go to someone and say, okay, I need like this paper signed with my DX on it and then send me on my merry, like, unemployed way. I just wasn't expecting as much from this therapy as I'm getting. And now he moved around his whole very, very busy schedule next week to make sure I could see him. And it moved me almost to tears. You know, he was talking to the secretary and she was like, oh, but this and oh, but that. And he's like, okay, but I need you to do this with me, for me, for Lisa. And, you know, we're gonna work this out. We're gonna fit her in 45 minutes by hook or by crook. We're gonna shuffle things around. He was like, I'll eat a granola bar in my office if I have to. I'll skip lunch. And I was like, my God, I'm just so blown away. I'm so blessed. I'm so happy to have him. And I hope this doesn't wind up being like a codependent crush of mine, because that always, well, not always, but that's tended to happen too. Wow, 16 minutes here of me just chatting. All I was going to do was say goodnight, let you guys know how I was feeling with my cold. Um, where was I going with that? The cold. And I think I just feel bad that maybe when I was being interviewed for the documentary, I didn't clarify maybe enough that, I don't know, it's hard to explain. I'm not saying I lied, because I didn't. I didn't lie about anything. And the focus, obviously, of the series is about cults, not divorces. But I just feel like if certain people are going to watch this and come after me verbally or harass me, they're going to, like, make it sound like, you left your husband and he still stayed in the cult, and that's why, blah blah blah. But the thing with him is that he was an adult when he joined it, and he was only in for a couple of years. You know, it's a whole different kettle of fish when you're raised in something, and that's all you know. He had already had a chance to have a normal life. You know, he went to high school and he went to trade school, and he was a construction foreman, and I think he also went to school for engineering. But him and his family had their own, like, very successful floral shop. A nursery, and he was already married twice before, had a very young baby, was told by the cult leaders to give up the baby, and yeah, there's a backstory to everybody who's involved in it, and how everything, intertwines and overlaps. And I'm gonna go to bed now, and I'm gonna try to sleep for a good 8 to 10 hours. Well, maybe 9 hours. I don't even know. Believe me, I'll get up at the last possible minute, even if I just splash my face and brush my teeth, grab a coffee, and run out the door. So, thank you for listening to me yet again. There's no rhyme or reason to this. I'm in the shadows here. It looks really funky and weird, but it's actually much easier for me to talk with only being shown in very minimal light, because it just feels like we're having a campfire conversation or something. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow, where I'm going to read to you a poem I wrote down about how poetry has movement to me, how words and poems move, and how they sneak up on you and say, excuse me, as they brush up against your skin. That's a little teaser there for you. Okay, guys, have a good night. Take care. Bye.